Picture a little girl, barely 6, her voice trembling as she whispers, "Please don't hit me again," in a cold, shadowy room. Her words hang heavy, a desperate plea for safety. Then, in strides a millionaire, a titan of wealth and power, his life a fortress of control. What he witnesses freezes him in place, shattering his world in an instant. What could drive a child to beg for mercy? How could a stranger's arrival rewrite her fate? This is a story of pain, compassion, and a single moment that transforms lives forever. You're about to dive into a tale so gripping, so raw, it'll grip your heart and maybe bring you to tears. Join us for the unforgettable journey of Lily, Alexander Reed, and an act of courage that defies all odds. Hit play and let's unravel a story that'll stay with you long after the screen fades. Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel, where we uncover stories that hit you deep in the soul, spark hope, and remind us of the power of human kindness. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button and join our vibrant community of story lovers. We're beyond thrilled to have you. Today, we're diving into a tale that feels like it's ripped from a Hollywood drama, but it's real, raw, and profoundly moving. It's about Lily, a 6-year-old girl trapped in a nightmare, Alexander Reed, a millionaire whose polished exterior hides a lonely heart, and a moment that changed their lives forever. This isn't just about wealth or tragedy, it's about compassion, redemption, and the courage to rewrite a broken story. Let's meet Alexander Reed. At 50, he's a titan of the tech industry, the CEO of Reed Innovations, a Silicon Valley empire worth over $200 million. His name is a beacon of innovation, splashed across business magazines, and his Palo Alto estate is a masterpiece. Glass walls reflecting the California sun, manicured gardens blooming with rare flowers, a private theater for star-studded screenings, and a garage housing a collection of vintage cars worth millions. Alexander's life is a symphony of success, private jets, tailored suits, and a reputation that commands boardrooms. But behind the polished facade, he's a man of routine, distant, and fiercely private. Divorced a decade ago, with no children, he's built walls around his heart, choosing deals and deadlines over relationships. His staff, maids, chefs, drivers run his life like a well-oiled machine, but he barely knows their names, their faces blending into the background of his meticulously ordered world. Now, let's meet Lily. She's a 6-year-old with wide hazel eyes, a faint scattering of freckles, and a smile that hides a world of pain. Lily lives with her mother, Karen, and Karen's boyfriend, Tom, in a cramped, run-down apartment just a few miles from Alexander's estate. Karen works as a part-time cleaner at the mansion, a job she took after hitting rock bottom, her dreams of being an artist crushed by addiction and bad choices. Lily often tags along, sitting quietly in the staff break room with a worn coloring book and her stuffed bunny, Mr. Flops. Her small frame is barely noticeable, her presence a whisper in the mansion's grandeur. But beneath her quiet demeanor, Lily carries a burden no child should endure, a life shaped by fear and pain. Karen's life is a daily battle. Once a vibrant artist with a sketchbook full of dreams, she's now a single mother grappling with addiction, debt, and a toxic relationship with Tom. He's a volatile presence, his temper flaring like a match in dry grass. Lily, caught in the crossfire, has learned to make herself small, to stay quiet, hoping to avoid Tom's anger. Karen, overwhelmed and desperate, often brings Lily to the mansion when childcare falls through, leaving her in the break room while she scrubs floors. Alexander rarely sees Lily. To him, she's just the cleaner's kid, a fleeting shadow in his pristine world, barely registering in his whirlwind of meetings and deals. But Lily isn't invisible to everyone. Maria, the mansion's cook, notices her, how she flinches at loud noises, how her eyes dart nervously when Karen's name is mentioned, how she clings to Mr. Flops like a lifeline. Maria, a mother herself, offers snacks, tells stories of magical forests, and tries to make Lily feel safe, even if just for a moment. Alexander, consumed by his empire, is oblivious to Lily's presence, let alone her pain. That is, until one moment, A moment that will shatter his carefully constructed life and force him to confront a reality he never imagined. Let's dive into the problem that set the stage for this life-altering encounter. Lily's life was a silent nightmare, a stark contrast to the innocence her 6 years should have held. She should have been chasing butterflies, giggling over cartoons, or drawing rainbows in her coloring book. Instead, she was navigating a world of fear where every day was a tightrope walk over chaos. Karen, her mother, was drowning in her own struggles, addiction that gripped her like a vice, debt that piled up like unopened bills, and a toxic relationship with Tom, whose presence loomed like a storm cloud. Their apartment, a cramped, peeling space in a forgotten corner of Palo Alto, was a battlefield of shouting matches, broken dishes, and slamming doors. Tom's temper was unpredictable, a spark that could ignite at the smallest trigger, and Lily was often the target. Bruises hidden under long sleeves, a nervous stutter when she spoke, eyes that darted like a cornered animal. These were the marks of a child living in terror. Karen, lost in her own pain and desperation, couldn't protect her daughter, and Lily learned to survive by making herself invisible, shrinking into corners, clutching Mr. Flops as her only shield. Karen's job at Alexander's mansion was her lifeline, a fragile thread keeping her and Lily afloat. But it meant dragging Lily along when childcare fell through, which was often. The mansion staff, kind but stretched thin, let Lily sit in the break room, where she'd color quietly or curl up with her bunny, trying to stay out of the way. Maria, the cook, took a special interest. She noticed the signs, the way Lily flinched at sudden movements, the way she'd freeze when Karen's phone buzzed, likely Tom on the other end. Maria would slip her an extra cookie, tell her a story about a brave princess, or let her stir batter in the kitchen, hoping to coax a smile. She suspected abuse, but didn't know how to help without risking Lily's safety. Karen, when questioned, brushed it off, insisting everything was fine, her voice brittle with denial. Maria didn't push, afraid of making things worse, but she kept a watchful eye, her heart heavy with worry. Alexander, meanwhile, was a distant figure, rarely in the mansion during Karen's shifts. His world was one of boardrooms and contracts, where a cleaner's personal struggles were as irrelevant as the dust she swept away. When the housekeeper, Mrs. Ellis, flagged Karen's erratic attendance, late arrivals, disheveled appearances, missed shifts, Alexander was annoyed but detached. "Handle it," he'd say, leaving personnel issues to Mrs. Ellis. He didn't know Lily, didn't know her fear, her bruises, or the way she'd hide in the break room, coloring to escape her reality. His life was a fortress of routine, his wealth a shield against personal pain, and a child's presence barely registered. But Lily's situation was worsening. Tom's abuse was escalating, his outbursts more frequent, his cruelty sharper. Karen's inability to leave him, tied by fear, dependency, and a desperate hope he'd change, left Lily trapped in a cycle of terror. The mansion became her only respite, a place where the shouting stopped, where Maria's kindness offered a fleeting sense of safety. But even there, Lily couldn't escape her fear, her small body carrying the weight of a life no child should know. The breaking point came on a rainy afternoon in late autumn. Karen, running late after a fight with Tom, brought Lily to the mansion and left her in the break room before rushing to clean. Tom had been particularly cruel that morning, his anger leaving Lily shaken, her eyes red from crying, her hands trembling as she clutched Mr. Flops. Maria, sensing something was wrong, tried to comfort her with a warm cookie and a story, but Lily was withdrawn, her voice barely a whisper. That day, Alexander was home, working in his office instead of at his company's headquarters, a rare break from his relentless schedule. As he passed the break room, he heard a small, trembling voice, "Please don't hit me again." The words stopped him cold, piercing the silence like a gunshot. He stepped inside and saw Lily, curled up in a corner, whispering to her bunny, tears streaming down her pale face, her body shaking with fear. Alexander's heart sank, his polished exterior cracking. He didn't know Lily, didn't know her story, but those words, "Please don't hit me again," cut through his detachment like a blade. Who was hurting this child? And how had it been happening under his roof, in his carefully controlled world? Let's go back to understand how this moment unfolded and what Alexander did next to change everything. To grasp the full weight of that moment, we need to rewind to Lily's life before that rainy afternoon. She was born to Karen, a woman whose life had once been full of promise. In her 20s, Karen was an artist, her sketchbooks bursting with vibrant drawings, her dreams aimed at gallery shows and a creative future. But addiction crept in, fueled by a string of bad relationships and financial struggles. By the time Lily was born, Karen was scraping by, working odd jobs, waitressing, cleaning, anything to keep a roof over their heads. Lily was her light, a bright-eyed baby who gave her purpose, but the weight of her struggles pulled her down. When Lily was 3, Tom entered their lives, promising stability but delivering chaos. His charm masked a volatile temper, and soon, their apartment became a battleground. Shouting matches, broken dishes, and Tom's fists became Lily's reality. Karen, desperate to believe in his promises, couldn't break free, leaving Lily to face his anger alone. Lily learned to survive by making herself small. She'd hide in her room, clutching Mr. Flops, a stuffed bunny Karen had given her as a baby, whispering to him as if he could protect her. Bruises bloomed under her sleeves, hidden from the world, and her voice grew quieter, her eyes wary. At 6, she was a master of staying invisible, her laughter rare, her trust fragile. Karen's job at Alexander's mansion was their lifeline, but it meant long hours, and when childcare fell through, Lily came along, sitting quietly in the break room, coloring to escape her fears. The mansion was a stark contrast to Lily's world, a gleaming oasis of glass and steel, where every surface sparkled and the air smelled of fresh flowers. The staff, though busy, were kind. Maria, the cook, became Lily's quiet protector. A mother of 2 grown children, Maria recognized the signs of abuse, the flinches, the nervous glances, the way Lily clung to Mr. Flops like a lifeline. She'd offer extra cookies, tell stories of brave princesses in magical forests, or let Lily stir batter in the kitchen, hoping to coax a smile. Maria had tried talking to Karen, gently asking about Lily's bruises, but Karen shut down, insisting everything was fine, her voice brittle with shame. Maria didn't push, afraid of making things worse for Lily, but she kept a close eye, her heart aching for the little girl who seemed so alone. Alexander, meanwhile, was a man of precision, his life a carefully choreographed routine. His marriage to Sarah, a college friend, had ended in divorce a decade ago, long before Lily was born. They'd parted amicably, but her death, a sudden loss to cancer, had hardened him. With no children of his own, Alexander filled his life with work, his mansion a lonely fortress despite its grandeur. He barely noticed the staff, let alone Karen or her daughter. His days were a blur of meetings, his nights spent in a silent home, his wealth a shield against personal pain. When Mrs. Ellis, the housekeeper, mentioned Karen's erratic attendance, late shifts, missed days, a disheveled appearance, Alexander was annoyed but dismissive. "Handle it," he'd say, delegating personnel issues to her. He didn't know Lily's name, didn't know her fear, didn't know the bruises hidden under her sweater. But Lily's presence wasn't invisible to everyone. Mrs. Ellis had noticed Karen's struggles, whispering to Maria about her suspicions, addiction, maybe, or trouble at home. They'd seen Lily's quiet demeanor, her nervous habits, but lacked proof to act. Karen's denials kept them at bay, and the mansion's busy rhythm left little room for intervention. Lily's situation grew dire as Tom's abuse intensified, his outbursts triggered by the smallest things as spilled glass, a late dinner. Karen, trapped by fear and dependency, couldn't leave him, leaving Lily to endure a cycle of terror. That rainy afternoon, everything converged. Karen, shaken from a morning fight with Tom, brought Lily to the mansion, leaving her in the break room before rushing to work. Tom's cruelty had left Lily trembling, her eyes red, her hands clutching Mr. Flops so tightly her knuckles were white. Maria tried to comfort her, offering a warm cookie and a story, but Lily was withdrawn, her voice barely audible. Alexander, working from home for once, was in his office, reviewing contracts. As he passed the break room, Lily's voice stopped him. "Please don't hit me again." He stepped inside, his heart lurching at the sight of her, curled in a corner, tears streaming, whispering to her bunny as if it could save her. Alexander knelt beside her, his voice soft. "Who's hurting you, sweetheart?" Lily froze, too scared to speak. Maria, hovering nearby, filled the silence, sharing her suspicions about Tom. Alexander's jaw tightened, his mind racing. He didn't know Lily, but he knew no child should live in fear. He called Mrs. Ellis, demanding answers. Why hadn't anyone reported this? Mrs. Ellis admitted she'd suspected abuse, but lacked proof, and Karen's denials had stalled action. Alexander's anger turned to resolve. He contacted a lawyer friend specializing in family law and arranged for a social worker to assess Lily that day. He confronted Karen, who broke down, admitting Tom's abuse, but begging to keep her job. Alexander, torn between fury and pity, promised help, but only if Lily was safe. That moment in the break room was a seismic shift. Lily's plea, "Please don't hit me again," shattered Alexander's carefully built walls. He saw not just a child, but a life in danger, and he couldn't turn away. With Maria's help, he uncovered the extent of Lily's suffering, bruises hidden under her sweater, a fear so deep it silenced her. He acted swiftly, arranging for a social worker to assess Lily that afternoon, ensuring she was placed in temporary foster care while Karen entered rehab. Alexander didn't stop there. He hired a private investigator to document Tom's actions, ensuring he faced legal consequences, charges that would keep him away from Lily. He met with Lily, kneeling to her level, promising, "No one will hurt you again." Lily, clutching Mr. Flops, looked at him with wary hope, her hazel eyes searching his face. That promise became his mission. He funded Karen's recovery, covering rehab and temporary housing, but his focus was Lily, her safety, her healing, her future. Over the next weeks, Alexander stayed involved, visiting Lily in foster care, bringing books, crayons, and toys. He learned her favorite stories, tales of brave animals and magical lands, her love for drawing, her quiet strength. Slowly, he earned her trust, her small smiles of victory. When Karen completed rehab, Alexander helped her find a safe home and a new job, but he petitioned to become Lily's legal guardian, believing she needed stability Karen couldn't yet provide. The court agreed, seeing his commitment, and Lily moved into the mansion, her laughter beginning to fill its halls. Lily's story is more than a millionaire's intervention. It's a testament to the power of one moment to change a life. Alexander didn't just save Lily. He found purpose in her resilience, a reason to open his heart. He became her guardian, transforming his mansion into a home filled with love and safety. Karen, now sober, visits regularly, rebuilding her bond with Lily under Alexander's supportive watch. Alexander, once a man of solitude, is now a father figure, reading bedtime stories, celebrating Lily's drawings, and marveling at her courage. Today, Lily is a thriving 7-year-old, her laughter a melody in the mansion's once silent halls. Alexander founded a charity for abused children, inspired by Lily's strength, funding shelters and legal aid to break cycles of pain. This story shows that compassion can rewrite futures, that one person's action can heal a child's wounds and transform a heart. If Lily and Alexander's story touched your heart, smash that like button and share it with someone who needs a spark of hope. Subscribe and ring the bell for more stories that inspire and uplift. Drop a comment. Have you ever witnessed an act of compassion that changed a life? We'd love to hear your story. Let's spread kindness together. See you in the next video.